My name is Daniel Brooks. I am 32 years old, and I work as a machine programmer in a small factory in Ohio. My job sounds simple when I explain it to people, but in reality, it carries a lot of responsibility. I write computer programs for large industrial machines that produce metal parts for cars and tools. These machines do not think for themselves. They follow instructions, and those instructions come from people like me. If one machine stops, the entire production line slows down. Workers stand waiting. Supervisors become nervous. Managers begin calculating lost money. Every minute matters in a factory. Because of that, my work is important, and I take it seriously. I always check my programs carefully. I test everything twice. Sometimes I stay late just to make sure nothing goes wrong after I leave. I live with my wife, Sarah. She is a primary school teacher at a small school close to our home. Sarah is calm, gentle, and patient, qualities that make her perfect for teaching children. She wakes up early every morning, prepares her lessons carefully, and gives her students more attention than anyone expects. Teaching takes energy, and she needs rest to do it well. Our life together is simple. We are not rich, and we do not live in a big house, but we are comfortable. After work, we usually eat dinner together, talk about our day, and watch television or take a short walk around the neighborhood. Those quiet moments mean a lot to me. They make life feel stable and safe. That evening started like any other normal evening. I arrived home around 6 o'clock, feeling tired but satisfied. I had spent most of the day working on a new machine program for an upcoming project. It was complicated, but everything worked perfectly when I finished. My supervisor, Mr. Reynolds, watched me test the system and told me I had done excellent work. Hearing that made me proud. When I walked into the house, the smell of pasta filled the kitchen. Sarah stood near the stove stirring sauce, humming softly to herself. I hugged her from behind, and she laughed in that warm, familiar way that always made me forget my stress. We ate dinner together while she told me stories about her students, one child who forgot homework again, another who proudly showed her a drawing of a rainbow family. Small stories, ordinary stories, but I loved listening to them. After dinner, exhaustion finally reached me. My body felt heavy, and my eyes struggled to stay open. I told Sarah I planned to sleep early, and she agreed. We went to bed before 10, something we rarely did, but both of us needed rest. I fell asleep almost instantly. I had no idea how quickly peace could disappear. I did not wake up to my alarm clock. I woke up to a feeling, an uneasy sensation that something was wrong. The room was dark, and for a moment I did not understand where I was. Then I heard it, a faint vibration somewhere in the house. It was a phone. The sound felt sharp in the silence of early morning. I sat up slowly. Sarah was not beside me. A light shone from the hallway. My mind struggled to wake fully as I walked into the living room, where my phone lay on the table. 2 missed calls appeared on the screen. Both were from Mr. Reynolds. The time read 5:56 a.m. Confusion spread through me. My boss never called this early unless something serious happened. My heart began beating faster as questions filled my head. Before I could think further, Sarah stepped into the room. Her face looked pale and her eyes were wide with fear. "Daniel," she said quietly, "your boss called me. I froze. "He called you?" I asked. She nodded slowly, wrapping her arms around herself. "He asked where you were. I thought I thought something bad happened to you." Her voice trembled. I suddenly understood what she experienced. For me, it was just a work call. For her, it sounded like an emergency involving her husband. She explained how the phone rang while it was still dark outside. Mr. Reynolds sounded serious, almost urgent. He asked if I was home, if she had seen me, if I could call him immediately. She imagined accidents, injuries, terrible possibilities. Listening to her made my stomach tighten with guilt and anger at the same time. I held her hands and told her I was fine, but she was still shaken. She had not slept again after the call. Her heart kept racing while she waited for me to wake up. Only then did I notice a message from my boss. "Call me ASAP. Machine problem." I sighed and pressed the call button. Mr. Reynolds answered quickly, relief clear in his voice. He explained that the machine I programmed the previous day had stopped during the night shift. Production workers could not restart it, and the factory was losing time. He asked me to come immediately. I agreed, though frustration quietly grew inside me. It was still early morning. Sarah sat nearby watching me, still anxious. "I have to go," I told her gently. She nodded but looked worried. "Please be careful." Outside, the air felt cold and heavy. The streets were empty as I drove toward the factory. My thoughts repeated the same question again and again. Why call my wife? Calling me made sense. Calling her crossed into something personal. The factory lights glowed against the dark sky when I arrived. Night shift workers looked exhausted and frustrated. One technician, Mark, approached me quickly and explained the machine stopped around 3 in the morning without warning. I walked directly to the equipment, expecting a complicated failure. But when I checked the system, everything looked normal. No error messages, no damaged settings. I pressed the start button. The machine began running smoothly. Everyone stared at it in silence. There was nothing wrong. At that moment, Mr. Reynolds walked in. Relief crossed his face when he saw the machine working again. He suggested it must have been a temporary glitch. A temporary glitch. The words echoed in my head as anger slowly rose. My wife had been terrified. I had rushed to work before sunrise, all because of a problem that solved itself. I turned to him calmly and asked why he called Sarah. He answered simply, "Because I did not answer my phone." That explanation did not sit well with me. I told him it was not appropriate to contact my wife about work issues. She had been frightened, thinking I might be injured or missing. He seemed surprised by my reaction and said I was overreacting. Those words changed everything. Until that moment, I had always avoided conflict. I respected authority and preferred peace. But hearing him dismiss Sarah's fear made something inside me shift. I explained that work was important, but there were boundaries. Family numbers were for emergencies involving safety, not production delays. He insisted he was only trying to solve a business problem. I asked him how he would feel if I called his wife before sunrise asking where he was. He hesitated but still refused to apologize. The conversation became tense. Workers quietly moved away while we spoke. My hands trembled slightly, yet my voice remained steady. Finally, I told him I would document the situation in an email, not to attack him, but to create clear professional boundaries. He looked unhappy, but said I could do what I wanted. I walked to my desk feeling nervous, yet strangely strong. Composing that email took longer than expected. I chose every word carefully. I described the timeline, explained the emotional impact on Sarah, and emphasized respect for the company and for personal life. I wrote that I valued my job, but also valued my family. I requested future communication remain professional and direct. Pressing send felt like releasing a weight from my chest. Still, uncertainty followed. Had I gone too far? Would this affect my job? Hours passed before a reply arrived. Mr. Reynolds acknowledged my concern and promised not to contact Sarah again. He added that he would consider apologizing. It was not perfect, but it was something. When I returned home later that day, sunlight filled the kitchen. Sarah greeted me with a softer expression. I told her everything, the machine working, the discussion, the email. She listened quietly, then smiled gently. "You stood up for us," she said. Her words mattered more than any workplace decision. That night, I thought deeply about balance. Work provides income and purpose, but it should never erase respect for personal life. Boundaries protect relationships, mental health, and dignity. The following morning, I woke at a normal time. Peace returned to the house. When I checked my phone, I saw a new message from Mr. Reynolds. This time, his words were different. He apologized for causing fear and admitted he had not considered the emotional impact of his actions. He explained that pressure from management sometimes pushed him to react quickly without thinking about personal consequences. Reading those words surprised me. At work, later that day, he approached me personally. Our conversation felt calmer. He admitted leadership sometimes meant learning from mistakes. I admitted I could have explained my feelings earlier instead of staying silent in the past. Something shifted between us. Not friendship exactly, but mutual respect. Over the following weeks, small changes appeared in the factory. Emergency contact rules became clearer. Managers discussed communication policies during meetings. Night shift supervisors received guidelines about when employees should be called. To my surprise, several coworkers thanked me quietly. Many had experienced similar situations but never spoke up. One technician told me he once received calls during his child's birthday dinner. Another said he was contacted while attending a funeral. I realized my situation was not unique. Sometimes one conversation creates change for many people. Life slowly returned to normal. Sarah continued teaching, and I continued programming machines. Evenings became peaceful again, shared dinners, television shows, weekend walks. But something inside me had changed. I understood that being a good employee does not mean sacrificing personal boundaries. Respect works both ways. Months later, another machine stopped during the night shift. My phone rang early again, but this time the call came directly to me and only me. The supervisor explained the issue calmly and waited for my response. No panic, no unnecessary fear, just professional communication. I smiled quietly, knowing that small actions can reshape everyday life. Looking back, the event was never really about a broken machine. It was about understanding limits, protecting relationships, and having the courage to speak respectfully but firmly. Work matters, responsibility matters, but people matter more. That morning taught me something I will never forget. Respect is not automatic. It is built through communication, honesty, and sometimes difficult conversations. And sometimes standing up calmly is the strongest thing a person can do.